Chris Baker here. So this one guy in my comments asked if I planned on doing a video review of Spider-Man Homecoming. Being more of a games guy, I wasn't really planning on reviewing the film. But then again, Kill a King Kong, you have a poop emoji as your avatar, which is very persuasive. I can only assume that you're really Patrick Stewart posing this question, and who am I to deny Captain Picard? At the same time, it's been a full week, and pretty much everyone who cares has seen it by now. So as far as an actual review is concerned, I'll just put it succinctly in the film's own vernacular. I larbed it. It's great. I could go into why, but so many folks already have, and I want to do something that stands apart from everything else that's out there. In the aftermath of 2 viewings, I've read reviews, I've listened to relevant podcasts like Laser Time's take on it, hey guys, and I've watched videos and perused articles on Easter eggs. The last of those particularly interests me as someone who's probably flipped through tens of thousands of pages of Spider-Man comics while working on Marvel video games for 7 years. Just having that experience helped me spot a ton of fan service I probably would not have otherwise noticed. Lots of Easter eggs were spotted by others, like my internet friend Dan Gavosden of the amazing Spider Talk podcast. I highly recommend it. He wrote a great piece for The Hollywood Reporter, which you can see a link to in the description below. He's got some cool things in there that I spotted too, like Peter David's When Cometh the Commuter, Aaron Davis actually being identified as the Prowler by Spidey's HUD, Silk as a classmate, and of course the reimagining of a classic moment from The Amazing Spider-Man number 33. But you know what? I've found a few things, a few observations, a few Easter eggs that I haven't seen anyone talking about yet. Doesn't mean no one has, I just haven't seen it. So without any further ado, here's a few of my own. Needless to say, we're talking massive spoilers from here on out, so you've been warned. First of all, there's the Superhero Soliloquy. The movie wins us over early on when we flash back to Civil War from Peter's perspective, as he films pretty much everything, even mid-battle. Many have, and I believe rightly, equated this to the MCU's version of taking pictures for the Daily Bugle, though I still want that in a sequel badly, especially J. Jonah Jameson. Come on guys, let's get that next time. But once he's back in his hotel room, he's saying all kinds of things most of us wouldn't really say out loud. Just like superhero soliloquies in comics. Happy Hogan bursting in to say the walls are thin is the perfect cap to the charming silliness of that moment. Less charming is the fact that everything is kinda Spidey's fault. Much like the comics, and this is a recurring theme with other heroes like Batman as well, the case could be made that nothing bad in the movie would have happened if Peter had just never suited up as Spider-Man to begin with. Would Mr. Delmore's Deli and an entire half block of Queens have been destroyed by superhero masked robbers if not for the wall crawlers meddling? Would the Washington Monument have begun crumbling to pieces, endangering the lives of Peter's classmates if he hadn't first secured the alien tech that Ned was holding onto? Would the ferry have split in half if Spidey hadn't shown up to unsuccessfully stop Tomb's crew in the first place? Would all of those poor school buses the Shocker took out have been destroyed if Peter hadn't abandoned Liz at the homecoming dance? He ultimately may have stopped lots of crime and death resulting from illegal weapons trade, but not without costing taxpayers millions along the way. Another thing I like is that Flash Thompson is a man of action. At first I really hated the movie's treatment of Flash Thompson, and I'd be lying if I said part of me didn't still want him to be a jock. I mean, that's where the Flash nickname comes from. His name's Eugene. In the movie, I guess he's DJ Flash and he dubbed himself that. That's not as cool, it's a little more forced. Anyway, I've grown to like him, and he's still appropriately abusive toward Peter. And during the Washington Monument scene, you can sense a bit of an inner hero for the man who will eventually serve in the armed forces and become a good version of Venom as well. While every other student is standing around scared, figuring out what to do, Flash proactively escapes the elevator so that he can get to the top and help his friends. At least that's what I'd like to think he planned to do. Spidey shows up right at that time and takes care of all the heroics. But perhaps Flash's day will come? I also caught a common thread of Aunt May's disapproval of superheroes. In classic comics, Aunt May often points out how much she disapproves of that awful Spider-Man. That's pretty much how she sounds, right? Anyway, she doesn't say anything like that here, probably because there's no Daily Bugle to defame Spider-Man. Again, let's hope that happens next time. But there is a moment where she says this.
Not a fan of that Tony Stark.
It's nice to see her hating someone heroic. Though her reasons are probably pretty justifiable because he's pretty creepy toward her. Speaking of creepy guys, let's talk about Mac Gargan. Pretty much every piece on Easter eggs points out that the guy known as Matt Gargan will become the Scorpion. And then they show a picture of him in his classic green Scorpion costume like you see right here. Based on Gargan's appearance in the film though, I really don't think he's going to end up that way, at least not for a long time. From what I've seen, only Dan Gavosdin's THR article has pointed out that the Ultimate Comics universe has its own version of Scorpion, and that his tattoos, not to mention his eye scar, seem way more in line with the MCU's interpretation. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't see anything more Scorpion happening with this character than maybe some kind of Chitauri tech that gives him a tail to whip around or something. Another thing is that the movie tells us that Spider-Man doesn't kill without banging it over our heads. When Karen asked Peter a couple of times if he'd like to set his webs to instant kill, Peter refuses, and he always will. Spider-Man doesn't kill ever. And as we saw at the very end, he even tries to save his enemies, which kind of brings to mind that Michael Keaton gets all the great superhero finds out he's with his nemesis moments. The twist that Adrian Toomes is Liz's dad confused me at first because I could have sworn I heard her last name of Allen stated, but no. That was just all the hype, assumptions made by fans and press that her name was Liz Allen. She's just plain Liz in the film, and we can assume she's Liz Toomes. So when the time came that both Peter and Adrian Toomes realized who the other is, that ranks among my favorite moments in superhero movies, period. It's the best scene like it since The Masquerade and Batman Returns when Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle, the only two there not in costume at the party, or maybe they were wearing costumes, they both realized each other's alter egos, and that part was awesome. And speaking of awesome, I just love how Spidey is so casual in general. You know, he's got his web hammock, and I knew I'd seen that before, and it's this panel right here. Where is this panel from? I have no idea. Tell me in the comments if you know. But early on, we see Peter taking a break to eat, and it immediately reminded me of this particular panel from The Amazing Spider-Man number 51, which we've sort of gone back and dubbed The Amazing Spider-Man number 492. There's just so much simple character portrayed in Peter taking a break to eat, lifting up his mask. I love it. And my final observation comes near the end of the movie during the Coney Island fight. One of the first things we see once Spidey and Vulture reach Coney Island is the word Thunderbolt. That word is lit up brightly in neon lights as they begin their fight at the iconic amusement park. There's even a shot a little bit later where the ride is perfectly framed, if a bit blurry, behind Vulture as he prepares to attack Spidey. Could this be a hint that Adrian Toomes could become a founding member of Marvel's team of villains forced into heroics known as the Thunderbolts? I don't believe Vulture ever has been part of that unit in the comics, but he'd be a great founding member in the MCU. Imagine a Suicide Squad type movie, but good, with the likes of Vulture, maybe Whiplash. Oh wait, he's dead. I don't know, Loki for some extra awesomeness. It won't happen, but it's a fun dream. Alright, finally, I'm gonna try to debunk an Easter egg that I keep seeing reported everywhere. It's kind of an anti-Easter egg, if you will. Pretty much every background character on Peter's academic decathlon team is identified with a single name in the credits that can be justifiably equated to a character from the comics. So we got Sally, Sally Averill, Cindy, Cindy Moon, Silk. You get the idea. And then there's Abe. Peter never went to school with a guy named Abe in the comics, but the internet really wants to declare this kid to be Abraham Brown, who's the brother of Hobie Brown, who was the first character to take on the moniker of the Prowler. Thing is, that character originated in the Master of Kung Fu comics and has only met up with Spidey a few times. If the character played by Abraham Attah, yes, the actor's name is Abe too. If he's actually supposed to be Abe Brown, it's really forced. I don't like that reference. Instead of using the brother of Hobie Brown, who does have a close relationship with Spider-Man, why not just use Hobie if you're going to throw that guy in there? My thought is that this guy is Abe because his actor's name is Abe. He's just Abe. It's that simple. Actually, if we're going to go ahead and force an identity on this guy, here's my theory, which I consider just as valid. He's Hotshot. Yeah, that's right. He's a character from a 1970s Hostess fruit pie ad. Believe it or not, the official handbook of the Marvel Universe actually acknowledges Hotshot's existence, And this guy, whose name is Abraham James, he's declared an old foe of Spidey's in the very strip you see right here. Maybe in the sequel they'll have Abraham Atah eating a Twinkie to confirm this link. That's what I want to see. And I sincerely hope that this video was something that you are glad that you saw. Please like and subscribe, and we'll be back with something more game related in the very near future, possibly also movie related. Goodbye everybody.